think the stream is going. Hi everyone, I'm TigerHawk3, and today we will be doing some more of the Django official tutorial, making an admin, not an admin site, an admin account, basically, and looking at the site we have been making. So let's get started. First thing it wants me to do is create an admin user, and that is in this dealie. And it is here, right? I am in the right place, I think. Let's check. Yes, manage.py is here. Very good. Py manage.py and create super user. A super user is the traditional Unix term for a user who has permission to do anything they want. Within, technical limitations, of course, but it means there's nothing that's blocked out to them because they're not trusted. There has to be someone on a system who's trusted to do anything they want, so that you can get things done. Alright. That's fine. Leave blank to do that. Email address, I don't know exactly what it needs, but what it'll be using this for. Oh, whoops. I guess it does need a valid something. There we go. Password. How about okay. Too short, 8 characters. I wish it had complained about too short password the first time I entered it, but I guess it doesn't do that. Okay, and the tutorial doesn't say it has to be 8 characters, so whatever. Admin site is activated by default. Let's start the dev server and explore it. Okay. If the server is not running, it isn't, we have to run it with py-manage.py run server. So it's going to do that. And starting the development server at this URL. It's a IP address, sorry. And this socket. So let's go there. Let me, I think I've got, hang on. Excellent. Okay. Let's see what we're going to do. We're actually going to turn off this so we can see what we're doing. And then I'm going to go to 127.001.8000/admin. And we can see the server doing stuff. Cool. And things have happened. This is a little... There we go. That's better. Okay. Fantastic. I'm going to take that out of there for now. And I'm going to look at the tutorial, and it wants us to log in, I suppose. Try logging in with the account you just created, and you should see the index page. Let's do that. It works. Hooray. Now what? You should see a few types of editable content, groups and users. They are provided by Django.contrib.auth, the authentication framework shipped by Django. Meaning, the authentication framework Django ships. This is called passive versus active voice. Where's our poll app? It's not there. We need to tell the admin that question objects have an admin interface. We're going to open polls/admin.py and make some changes. So that means we're going to take this out and polls/admin.py. Edit with Notepad. There we go. Okay. Django.contrib import admin. From .models import question. And then admin.site.register the question model. So we register our modules there. Great. Now that we've registered question, Django knows that it should be displayed on the admin index page. And what I will do is I will save this and go back to this site and make that actually appear. And then I will refresh this, and there's polls. Neat. It works like it's supposed to. I like that. Click questions, and now you're at the change list page for questions. Let me move some things around. Okay, that should work. Great. Where's that? What's it? Here we are. Open that, edit it, we did this. Okay, we're gonna click questions, and we're at the change list page is what this is called. And oh, there's someone in the chat. Random stranger says hi. Hello. We're setting up our super user stuff and making some changes. So what are we doing? Questions. We're at the change list page for questions. This page displays all the questions in the database and lets you choose when to change it. All right. Click this question to edit it. And we can change the text if we want. This form is automatically generated from the question model. The different model field types correspond to the appropriate HTML input widget. That's cool. Each date time field gets free JavaScript shortcuts. That's good. Excuse me. Dates get a today shortcut and calendar pop-up. That's good if you've ever used a date picker for various websites. Pretty common. Instead of just entering, just typing in the date, you might not know the format. So they generally have a little calendar icon, you can click right next to it, and it pops a tiny little calendar, and you can browse through and click the day, and it'll enter the proper date string in there. The bottom part of the page gives you a couple of options. Saves changes, save and continue editing, which is basically apply, I guess. Save and add another, which is basically, so we have save and continue editing, save and add another, and delete. So this is basically OK, apply, and OK, and then new. And this is just delete. I don't remember what time I created it. Date published. I don't know. 9/4, 2 days ago. Yeah, 11:55. I don't know. Probably somewhere around there. Because otherwise it would be 7 in the morning. Yeah, I'd say this is correct. Change the date published by clicking today and now. Okay. Today and now. All right. And then save and continue editing. Change successfully. You may edit it again below. Then click history, and we can probably see a list of changes. Changed pub date. Great. When you're comfortable with the Models API and have familiarized yourself with the admin site, go to part 3. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with the Models API, but let's go to part 3. It's big, sort of big, kind of is. I think today will be short-ish. How about view site? Oh, page not found. Current URL didn't match any of these. Is that a thing? Yeah, there's polls, but this doesn't. I guess I don't have an index, so that's fine. And what is this supposed to have or look like? Change question, etc. Username, password. Okay. So we didn't really see much, just set up the admin functionality. And next will be continuing the web poll application and creating the public interface, which is a view. Okay. So there's a bunch of stuff here. We'll be writing more views. This might be a short stream. That's fine. Less than 15 minutes. Fun-sized stream. There's someone else in chat. Parth Sharma says, hey, how's it going? Good to see you again. Should we do a little bit of this one? Maybe? A view is a type of web page. It explains that a blog application might have views for the home page, the entry detail page, the archive page, for year, month, and day, comment action, all manner of views. Seems like a type of page, basically. And our poll will have 4 views. There's the index, which is displays a few questions, detail, which displays the details for a question, results, displaying the results for a question, and vote action, handles voting for a particular choice and particular question. Okay. pages are delivered by views, and each view is represented by a Python function. That's cool. Django chooses one by examining the URL. It says that Django generates URL patterns that look nice. And it gives as a counterexample me2/sites/dirmod.asp $SID equals and type equals gen and mod equals core plus pages and GID equals some alphanumeric string. That's great. So we're not doing that, apparently. A URL conf maps URL patterns to views. Okay. Okay, we're gonna write more views. That's what we'll do. Take this out, back to Notepad. Polls views.py. This is in polls views. Okay. What else will we have? We have index. I need to see this. Okay. Detail. And it's going to take a request and a question ID because it needs to know which question we're talking about. And it's going to give us an HTTP response of you're looking at question this format question ID. I'm just being a little different here. The tutorial has percent formatting interpolation while I'm using string.format. Doesn't make a difference. I just wanted to use something else. Results. That's interesting. So this is going to be results, and it's going to return how is this different? In this one we save the response. This looks the same. Like I'll show you what they actually have. Look at that. This is their detail, and this is their results. You're looking at question this. You're looking at the results of question this. Is that the only difference? That's a little weird. And it's looking at the results of this with question ID. So one just says question, the other says results of question. The only difference between these is the results of. See, if I were writing this in a program, this would be a parameter, not an entirely separate function. And we can just the results of, and that's there's no. We can just do that. That's fine. What else do we have? A vote. Great. And it looks kind of the same. Okay. This feels really weird to be doing. You're voting on. With a space. Thank you. Okay. Save this. Add this to the URL calls. I'm going to add this to the URLs site and polls. URL patterns we have. The empty one with index, yes. And then a whole bunch more. Let's just pop those in. So, bugs. Winter is coming. They'll be dead soon. It's okay. So we have start of the string, and then a matching capture, and then question mark. What does question mark by itself mean? I think it's a literal, I think. If you have a group and then question mark and then a colon, it means a non-capturing group. You just want the parentheses for grouping, not because you want to capture it specifically. Question mark, and then P question ID, and then some integers, and that's our group, and then a slash, and then the end of the string. Okay. This is question ID results, question ID, and vote. Okay. This is the detail, results, and vote. Makes sense to me. So let's save that. Nope, not this one. This one. Take a look in your browser, which is where? Where did I put that? Must have, I don't know why that's not working. Oh, there's an error. Let me show you that. Show you what it's doing. There's an error over here. So I had the views, URLs, vote, and there's no vote thing. Oh, results and results, that's wrong. How about results and vote? That should work significantly better. Yay. Okay. Let's try this again. Let me show you what I'm doing as well. This one, very good. 127.001 8,000. Polls. Polls. The tutorial says to go to polls/34. You're looking at question 34. Neat. So this creates, that's cool. This is looking like kind of a console program that displays its output in a browser. That's neat. It runs the detail method and displays whatever ID you provide in the URL. polls34/results. Looking at the results of question 34. So these aren't very useful things to see. I mean, in general, these are results. I mean, there's no content there, but I can see how we're making a little website. And this'll have more stuff in it, I guess. Cool. Try vote. You're voting on question 34, indeed. When someone requests a page, Django will load the mysite.urls Python module because root URLconf points to it. It finds the variable named URL patterns and traverses the regular expressions in order. Order does count then, okay. After finding the match it polls, it strips off the matching text, which is polls slash, sends the remaining text, which is 34, to polls.urls for further processing. And there it matches the question ID, resulting in a call to the detail view. Okay. That's a little complicated, but that's okay, sort of. The Zen of Python says that simple is better than complex, and complex is better than complicated. But I suppose it works well enough for this, so that's what we're going to go with. Random stranger asks in chat, when and how did you start your programming career? When I was little, I went to a computer camp during the summer, and we learned some C++. I don't think I really understood it, but we played Unreal Tournament a lot, and I used the sniper rifle and made people very angry. We played on the LAN, and it was good times. Little kids playing Unreal Tournament is always good, right? In high school-ish, at a junior college, I took some classes in HTML, Unix, and C. C wasn't easy. HTML is pretty easy because it's not quite a programming language, it's just markup. Like it has one syntax, and that syntax is a tag. This was way back when, like 10 years ago or more. And the web was simpler in those days. More recently, a couple years ago, I took some classes for Java and Python, and what else was there? I think that was Java, more Java, Python. Oh, JavaScript. Yeah, I learned JavaScript, unfortunately. Very messy language. If your language has a strict mode, you need to think of some important questions of how you got to that point, that your language needs strict mode, because it doesn't work without it. Anyway, so I like Python. That's why I'm doing a Python-based web framework instead of something else. Let's continue. What am I showing? What do we got? Okay. The question ID equals 34 part comes from that. Okay, so this, let me show you what I'm thinking over here. So this detail, results, and vote, etc. These are going to come from URL. So if it just has, this is a named capture, I think, just has numbers and then a slash, and that's the end of the URL, then it's going to open the views, which is views over here, dot detail, this one, and return, you're looking at question whatever, and it's going to give it that named capture. And if we have something slash results, so that's this same thing from above, it also has results in there, and that's going to call views dot results, and the name is results, views dot results, and it's going to give us this, and so on. Great. Because the URL patterns are regular expressions, there really is no limit on what you can do with them, and there's no need to add URL cruft such as .html unless you want to, in which case you can do something like this. We don't want to, but don't do that, it's silly. So the tutorial is saying there are other things you can do, but you really don't need to, so don't. So we're gonna kinda, that's a flyover lesson. We're gonna just keep on going. Each view is responsible for doing one of two things. This section is called Write Views That Actually Do Something, because like I said earlier, these don't really do anything. It just displays a string. Not very complicated. Although I guess I could have this do actual stuff. So that's like I could put Python code into the views thing. Like I could do calculations or anything. Probably not something like tcanter. Not any Python code, any library. But if I wanted to say do some math, return the dot product of, not the dot product, I don't know what that is, for matrices or something. If I wanted to return the Cartesian product of a sequence, and the Cartesian product is for a 2D list, basically, every element combined with every other element. So if you have a list with, let's say, 2 sublists in it, and the first one is 1, 2, 3, and the second is ABC, the dot product would be 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C, 3A, 3B, 3C. That's dot product. Not dot product. Why do I keep saying that? Cartesian product. That's what that is. And there's itertools for that. Don't write nested loops yourself. Just do itertools dot product. That's probably why I keep saying dot product, because it's itertools dot product. Anyway, write views that actually do something. Each view is responsible for doing one of two things: returning an HTTP response or raising an exception. The rest is up to you. Your view can read records from a database or not. You can use a template system such as Django's or a third-party one or not. It can generate a PDF file, output XML, create a zip file on the fly, anything you want using whatever Python libraries you want. This is cool. I'm just gonna say that. Some of the other Python stuff that I've done on stream, maybe I can kind of shoehorn it into something like this and make it a website. That would be cool. Don't know if my web host supports much. I'll have to email them or something and ask what I can do as far as that. But this is very neat. Very neat. It's basically running Python programs with an interface that every computer has, basically. That's cool. And the Python part is run on the server. Very cool. Welcome to the 21st century, self. All Django wants is that HTTP response or the exception, so you can do whatever you want in the in the methods here, and then give it an HTTP response or an exception. That's all you gotta do. Let's use Django's own database API, which we covered in tutorial 2. Okay. Here's one stab at a new index view, which displays the latest 5 poll questions in the system, separated by commas according to publication date. Great. Polls, views.api. We are in polls, views.api. And index, instead of, we're gonna replace this. What do they have? Latest question list equals question.objects.orderby. So they're doing a database query. That's fine. And then they just join all the question texts. Okay. Sounds good to me. Let's pop that in there. So we have, can we see this? Yes, okay. We have latest question list equals question, and this is the class dot object, so that's all the questions, and we're going to order by minus pub date, so that's decreasing, I guess. So we get the newest ones, and we only want 5 of them. We've sliced off everything else, and then we're going to join those on a comma. And the reason they have a list, you don't strictly need these square brackets. You can send a generator to join, but join kind of works better with list. I think it's like generating the list internally anyway or something. So if you add these, it actually runs faster. I don't know if that's an implementation detail or what, but it's fine. I'm going to leave it there. I know where they're doing it. And then it returns that. Great. There's a problem. The page's design is hard-coded in the view. If you want to change the way the page looks, you'll have to edit this Python code. That's right. Let's use Django's template system to separate the design from the... This is the view. Isn't this where we should be doing view stuff? We create a template that the view can use. Okay, whatever. Let's go with that. The page's design is hard-coded in the view. Right? That's bad. Create a directory called templates in your polls directory. So let's do the following. Parth Sharma asks in chat, most important language according to you? That's primarily opinion-based. That's probably why you ask according to me. Important. So it's not asking for my favorite, which would obviously be Python. I think y'all can probably tell. Important. What's the most important? Would that be maybe which language others rely on the most? Which language was important for allowing other things to happen or be created? I'm pretty sure it's not Python. Under those criteria, because if Python hadn't been created, we wouldn't have some bunch of websites would have been maybe more difficult to make. I don't know. There's a bunch of scripting languages. Python, JavaScript, Ruby, etc. and so forth. There's some various, if we go to the other end of the spectrum, there's assembly languages. Those are pretty important. If we didn't have those, we probably wouldn't have made anything. There had to be something in the beginning, right? I think I'm gonna go with C. C is still very close to the hardware, meaning you're doing a lot of what's now considered boilerplate stuff, like allocating memory. But it's a darn sight easier to write than assembly, for sure. For example, to print, you have things like printf, I believe, system printf, something like that, instead of, assembly languages where print might be 1, if you want to print a string. Or no, I think that's an integer, and print2 is a float. Yeah. Or not print2, it's a command of 2, and then you syscall. It's C is not that bad, not anywhere close. And even in some scripting languages, such as Python, there are implementations of those languages that rely on things written in C. For example, Python's built-in function map is written in C. And when you call it in Python, it's just accessing that that function. It's running C code. If you want to see the source of map, for example, or a whole bunch of other stuff, it won't be in the regular little Python libraries like tkinter or datetime or whatever. You'll have to dig deeper than that. I don't quite know where they are because I don't really know C, so it's not particularly useful for me. But C is fast, close to the hardware, and it can, but it's not quite as bad as, say, assembly or, machine code, which means zeros and ones. I can't help but think that someone, at some point in history, might have had to write something with zeros and ones one day, for some reason. It's possible. Now let's see what we've got with Django. Is there anything else in chat? Okay. This mode. Let's open the monitor. There we go. Move that over there. Very good. Okay. All right. So it wants us to create a directory called templates in polls. We are in polls, and we're going to create templates. Templates. All right. Django will look for templates in there. Your project's template setting describes how Django will load and render templates. The default settings file configures a Django templates backend. This seems like explaining something that's going on rather than something that we will actually be needing to worry about and or do. Within the templates directory you have just created, create another directory called polls, and within that, index.html. Polls, templates, polls, index.html. Okay. And then we will create index.html. All right. and then we will do something with it. Great. About these index.html, and we're going to change that. This is why is it showing up as a regular text icon instead of something like this? Anyway, what happens if I take out that? It still shows up like that. Where's my open with Chrome? Notepad isn't even on there. I don't know. Maybe if I refresh. There we go. Had to refresh the window. Okay, that's better. Good lord. It's showing me stuff to put into this index.html template, and it is not Python at all. Okay. We can edit that. Put the following code in that template. Look at this. Look at this. You'll like this. I don't know what that is. What language is that? Django template language? I don't rightly know. Gotta take this out. There we go. So now you see what I was talking about a few seconds ago. It's this. That looks like HTML. And this is with the percents, I don't know. And the N4 and NDIF, that's, I don't know what that stuff is. I really don't. But it wants us to do that, and I will show you the command window so you can see it updating things. Is it going to do anything? No? Okay, never mind. But we're going to go back to polls/views.py, and we're going to update this. Polls views. Index, right? We're going to add an import for templates from Django.template import loader from .models import question. Oh, because we would need that for this thing, of course. Index is going to be order by whatever, the latest, and then we're going to make a template. And that's going to be loader, which is this template's loader function, or whatever it is. I don't know what loader actually is, what type it is, anything. But it has a get template method, and that's going to be polls/index.html. So we're in polls/views. So the folder we're in is polls, and we're going to go into polls/index. Oh no, it's templates/polls. So by default, it is looking for template directory. By convention, Django templates looks for a templates subdirectory. So it's going to look in this templates directory that we created, and then it's looking for polls/index.html, and that's our template. And I don't understand what it is, what it's doing. So, okay. Let's update our index view in polls/views.py to use the template. We did that. Oh, we need a context now. That's great. And instead of this output, is not exactly what we want. We want this context, and I don't think this is even a little bit necessary. I'm going to take that out, and we're still at 62 columns, so that's fine. And we're going to return an HTTP response of something different because we removed that output. This is going to be template.render. So we have a loader object, and it's going to get a template of what we want, and we're going to create a context of it. Latest question list with what we created here. And then we will render that template with this context and the request, which we got from here. Very good. Loads the template called polls/index.html and passes it a context, and the context is a dictionary mapping template it's a dictionary mapping template variable names to Python objects. Yeah, the context is a dictionary with template variable names and Python objects, which is this sliced list. Looks good so far. I'm gonna save this, I guess. Save. Things happen over here. Very good. Load the page by pointing your browser at polls, and you should see a bulleted list containing the "What's up?" question from tutorial 2. The link points to the question's detail page. Alrighty. Let's do that. That being this. No, not this one. This one. Thank you. And let's take out this thing. This thing. Thanks. Alright, we're going to do this, and I'm going to go to polls. And we have a bulleted list with the "What's up?" question. We still have "What's new?" because I didn't change it to "What's up?" So that's fine. Great. I like that. The link points to the question's detail page. Okay then. Question.id, question text. It's polls / whatever. Okay, I can see that. A shortcut. Render. It's a very common idiom to load a template, fill a context, and return an HTTP response object with the result of the rendered template. There's a shortcut. Here's the full index view rewritten. Views index, so we still have that. We still make a context, but instead of creating a template and then rendering it, we will just say render with the request and the address and the context, okay? So where we previously had this, we're going to keep this line, and we're going to keep this line, but this loader.get template, this loader.get template with this dot render with the context and requests. There is a function instead of the loader. We're going to do render. Gonna remove that, and we're just gonna say render with the context, which is request first, polls slash index.html. And the context. Okay. Note that once we've done this in all these views, we no longer need to import loader and HTTP response. You want to keep HTTP response if you still have the stub methods for detail, results, and votes. Oh, it just returns the render. Oh, render itself returns an HTTP response. Okay then. And once we replace the HTTP response here with a render, we wouldn't need HTTP response anymore. This is, no. This would still be loader. This is shortcuts. From shortcuts, import render. Okay. I thought it was render instead of loader from template, but no, it's in shortcuts. Alright. So we'll keep that. I don't think we need... Do we need loader? I think we only need the loader itself if we want to manually create a context, get template, fill it with the context, and then render it without a shortcut. So I don't know that we need it. It's not used anywhere, so goodbye. The render function takes the request object as its first argument, a template name as its second argument, and a dictionary as its optional third argument. Returns an HTTP response. Very good. Raising a 404 error. The page that displays the question text for a given poll. Let's tackle the question detail view. Here's the view, the new concept. The view raises the HTTP 404 exception if a question with the requested ID doesn't exist. Okay. Let me go into here. Oh, question 1. That's right. So let me show you what happens with this page, and that would be in Chrome. So I'm going to go to what's new, and I think you can you see at the bottom? This no, it doesn't show that. Okay, but in the status bar, where the status bar used to be on Windows and is now like a little pop-up thing, I kind of missed the status bar. It says I'm going to polls/1 because this is question 1. It's the only one we've created. So I'm going to click on this. You're looking at question 1, and now we can see we're at polls/1. What happens if we go to polls/2 or 23? Doesn't matter. Looking at question 23. Even though there's no question 23, but it's still able to make a page for it, even though it doesn't mean anything. What if we needed actual stuff? Hang on, this is did I save this? Let me save the views.py. What's new? Question 1. Can I put something else in here? Yes. So we can create a page that says you're looking at question 15 when such a thing does not exist, but there's no way to get there here because the question actually doesn't exist. Bugs. Always bugs. Anyway, so what we're doing now is raising an error when we ask for something that shouldn't exist. And we're going to go to polls/views.py. And we're going to import HTTP 404. That's probably familiar to anyone who's used the internet. If you try to go to a page that doesn't exist because this is creating pages on the fly. If you go to example.com/abfzq3.45 or something, you will get a 404, meaning page not found. You asked for a page and it's like, I don't have anything with that name. So we're going to say that we don't have a question with that name if they ask for one that doesn't exist. Sounds good. Detail is going to, I see. So we're going to change this. Instead of just whenever they ask for a number of a question, just give them a string with that number. We're going to actually look for that question in the database, and if it doesn't exist, it'll raise an exception, and we will catch that and raise a 404 error. I'm just going to copy it in because that's what I'm doing. This has to be over here. So if you're not familiar with the try except syntax, Random Stranger says in chat, bugs everywhere, but not a single bug to kill. They're tiny. They're the sort of bugs that kind of fold their wings up and just walk in through the pitch of the screen for the window. Pretty annoying. But anyway, the try except syntax is whatever is in the try block. Python will try to run it, and if it produces an exception, it will stop running code, and it will look for this except clause, and technically you can just not include this if you want, and it'll accept any error in here, but you don't want that, because what if you get some other kind of mistake? It'll just kind of eat it and be like, everything is fine. So this is a specific exception class, question dot does not exist. Other exceptions you may be familiar with are value error and type error and index error. Those are built into Python, but this is for a specific class, saying you asked for a question, and a question with that ID isn't in the database. So if we get this exception, we're going to raise a different exception. Your browser will not know how to handle the question does not exist error, so instead of just letting that pop up, we're going to catch that exception and raise the HTTP 404 error, which your browser does know how to handle because it has been implemented properly, I presume. And then we render it, and I guess if it raises that exception, it'll be done. Oftentimes you'll use try except to just prevent a failure in your program. Like if you ask for the user's age and a simple program that says enter your age, and then in 1 year you will be this many years plus 1 years old. You can try and then try to cast whatever age they entered to an integer, and then you can accept value error. And if they enter something that can't be changed into an integer, it'll say you can have some other behavior in that except block, like continue, for example. If you have a loop that you just want to, instead of proceeding on through the logic of your program, it'll go back to the beginning, something like that. But this is catching one error and raising another. and so it'll raise this and then kind of crash and stop, and it will just give us a give us something that the browser can deal with. Raises the HTTP 404 exception. We'll discuss what you could put in there a bit later. If you'd like to quickly get the above example working, a file containing just, oh, I need a template. If you'd like to quickly get the above example working, a file containing this will do it. Okay. polls/templates/polls detail.html. And I'm going to make this detail.html, and that's going to be question. Okay. Apparently that's it. A file containing just this. We'll get you started for now. Oh, because we're rendering a detail thing, so we need a detail file. How long have I been showing this thing? I don't want that. I want this. There we go. URLs, models. What's it? Views. Where's my views? Views. Here we are. So we have try for this. So we're going to try to get this question, and if it doesn't exist, it's going to produce an error, and we're going to catch that error. And when we do that, we will raise a different error, and that's an error that the browser can understand. And if this doesn't happen, if this works, what I'd like to do is put this in an else. There are a few more things you can do with try except. There's try, except, else, and finally. Else is the block that gets executed if nothing in the try produced an error. Finally is something is the block that gets executed regardless. I'm going to put this in an else because I want to make it clear that we're going to try this. If it doesn't work, if it does work. That's what I want to do. It's kind of like if you have a bunch of conditional return statements in a function, you might have if condition less than 3, return the string saying, less than 3. The next thing you write could be an elif, if this, elif that, elif whatever, and then else. Or you could just put a bunch of regular ifs because the content of all of them is return. So if you get to that if, it means that you didn't return out of the function. So I like saying else because it's clear that it's not that we get here and do this because it just so happened that this didn't occur. It ties it in to this more clearly, more readable, I think. Okay. What am I doing now? Random Stranger asks, what's the difference between return, print, and yield? An excellent question, which I will be very happy to answer. Return is a keyword, is a statement, in Python. Yield is also a statement. Print in Python 2 is a statement, and in Python 3 is a function. A statement is intended to control the flow of a Python program, while a function is intended to produce some useful task, generally. Examples of statements are pass, break, continue, return, yield, for, while, that sort of thing. So if you see a program with a for loop, it means that you'll be executing some code multiple times, maybe, right? But when print was a statement, it doesn't make your program go anywhere else. It doesn't control the flow of the program at all. So that was changed to a function. And functions are handy because you can give them parameters with various interesting behaviors. For example, the print statement in Python 2, it is very annoying trying to get that formatted just with print. For example, if you want whatever you print not to produce a carriage return right after, you end it with a comma. Like you'd have print my value. This will print your value and then a carriage return. This will print your value and then nothing. That's so clear, isn't it? And what if you do my value, other value? This will print my value and other value separated by space. What if you want to separate them with something else? Like a dash, for example. You'd have to do dash.join this and that. That would work. Or you could do my value plus dash plus other value. Unless these things aren't strings, maybe they're numbers, and then this wouldn't work, and you would have to, this or join wouldn't work. You could do this, that, whatever, dot format. I forgot the thing. You could do that. Or in Python 3, where print is a function, you could do my value, other value, sep equals dash. And you can change the end to end with a carriage return instead of a line feed. And you can also say flush equals true to make sure it flushes the output, even if it doesn't end with a carriage return. Maybe you end it with an A, I don't know. In Python 2, you would have to import sys and then do sys.standardout.flush. To do this in a separate call, you can also do file equals open out.txt w, that sort of thing. Where in Python 2, I think there's some kind of weird syntax, like this or something. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, so statements are intended to control program flow, and functions are intended to be useful things that your program is doing. Statements just allow you to run the program in the order that you want. So that's why print was changed from a statement in Python 2 to a function in Python 3. I think that helps help start to explain the difference between those various terms, because print doesn't make your program move anywhere else. It just prints. It does, and printing might be what you want your program to do at that point. Like, it's the useful output. So print is now a function. You should be using Python 3. It's better. And print sends the object or objects you pass it to whatever handle that you pass it, or by default it uses the handle of sys.standardout, which is the console. Let's see. So that's print. Return, what return does is, if you are in a function or method, return allows you to leave that function before the end of it has been reached, and optionally, not optionally, and produce a value to the caller. You might have a function, here's an example, def vote. So we're defining the vote function, and whatever calls this function is going to get back an HTTP response object. You can have the return statement by itself, and then it will just return from the function and end there and not return anything. And by not return anything, I mean it will return the none object. If your function reaches its end without seeing a return statement, it will by default return the none object. So not having a return in your function and the return statement by itself and return none will all cause your function to return none. And when that happens, the function is done and you go out of it, and whatever called it has that value given back to it, and then your program continues from there. Now yield is kind of like it's like a return, but stay there, don't leave, because we're still doing stuff. Basically allows you to return multiple things from a function in sequence without immediately leaving it. You can already do that with return by returning like a tuple, for example, but if you return a tuple or a list of objects, then all of those are held in memory. Meanwhile, f for I in range 10, return I. So this, if you call it, will return 0. And that's it, because it'll start looping through 0 through 9, not including 10. And it'll go, okay, we've got I being 0 for now, and then we're going to return 0. And return means we're out of the function and we're done. So you just get 0 from this. If you do yield I, it means you would have to, if you did afterward x equals f, this is return, x would be 0. Now, if we have this, x is a generator expression. And then, if we want to get anything out of this, we could be like a equals next x. the next element out of a generator expression that we saved. And then a would be 0. And then we could do n equals next x again. N would be 1, and so on and so forth. Or we could do for item in x, print item. And this would iterate over this generator, is what this is. And for each one, it would print it. The difference is we could have a return with this. Let's call it R. L equals this. For I in range 10, L dot append I, and then return L. So the difference here is that this L A equals R. So here's something, let's actually call it G for generator. Here's our generator, and here's our thing with the return statement. So this A that we got from the return holds all the numbers from 0 through 9. They're all held in memory. That's not very much, but maybe you have something with millions. That's not as good. Meanwhile, x only holds a pointer to a generator expression. And then when you iterate over it, it just goes through the function. So this, when let's put this first actually. A equals R. When I run this, it runs R and it goes here and then appends the what's it and does this 10 times and then returns that. Okay, now we're done. And we have a list of 0 through 9. When we have this, on the other hand, we start with, we go into this function here, and we say for I in range 10, so it starts with 0, and then yield I. It actually doesn't even get that far. It says, oh, we have a yield in this function, so it's a generator. So I think this actually doesn't go that far. Just says G, there's a yield in it, so we've got a generator. And then when you do for item in X, it says, okay, now we'll start it. Okay, for I in range 10, yield I. So it says, okay, we've gotten 0 from it. Now print 0. And then we continue in the function. Okay, now I'm going to get the next thing from this range object, and it's 1, and we'll yield 1. So at no point in time does it hold an entire list of numbers 0 through 9 in memory. Now the thing is, if I did that, it wouldn't print anything, because we already went through the function. It yielded all the numbers from 0 to 10, and now it's done. It's exhausted. It's what that's called. So we saw this in we didn't see that exactly. I had a different issue with generators doing the dice rolling program. Because in a generator, in Python 3.3 or 3.4, in more recent versions of Python anyway, you can do yield from. And that goes through, come on, bug, dang it. And that goes through the iterable and yields everything from it one by one. So basically, print produces output in whatever context you're telling it to do, which might be the console or a file or whatever. Return will leave a function and produce a value to the caller, while yield delivers a value to the caller when you ask for it, and then continues when you ask for another one. So it only does things when you tell it to, instead of doing everything at once immediately. And that's the difference between print, return, and yield. I hope that answers that reasonably well. Where am I now? This will get you started. I have this template, and it's just the question, because I'm rendering a detail there now as well, so I have two renders, so I need a template for this, which I already made, and I need a template for that. Great. A shortcut, get object or 404. Oh. Okay. It's a very common idiom to use get and raise a 404 if the object doesn't exist. Makes sense. Look for something in a database and raise an error if you can't. Okay. So there's a shortcut. We're gonna get render and also get object or 404. And that is now question is going to be this. It's going to be get object or 404 with this question and pk equals that. So it's going to do a get on this question that we pass it with this ID, and if it fails, it'll give us a 404. And then we will return a render of the request polls detail HTML question. Great. So it'll return either the request that was successful or the error that we need to show. Take some models as first argument, keyword arguments, etc. Okay. Fantastic. Why do we use a helper function instead of automatically catching the object does not exist exceptions at a higher level, or having the model API raise HTTP 404 instead of object does not exist? So this is basically asking why is it that the previous version of this a few minutes ago was try to get this question from the database. If it raises this object does not exist exception, catch that and instead raise a 404. And this is asking why doesn't that just raise a 404? Because that would couple the model layer to the view layer. It doesn't want to, the database doesn't want to assume that you're using a website to view it. Makes sense? Because if you look for a question that's not there, it makes, if you're looking for an object that does not exist, it makes sense to say this object does not exist. It's saying an error of what went wrong, rather than just, you're probably doing this in a web page, so most likely you want a 404. No, we don't. Not necessarily. There's also a get lister 404, which works the same as this, except using filter instead of get. Okay. Oh, there's a lot more. Wow. A bunch. Maybe we'll do it anyway. Hour and a half. Okay. Back to the detail view for our pull application. Let me save this. Okay. Given the context variable question, here's what that template might look like. Polls, templates, polls, detailed at HTML. Oh, there's more. Instead of just question, we'll have this. Great. That seems more complete. The template system uses .lookup syntax to access variable attributes. Very good. Question text in braces up here. First, Django does a dictionary lookup on the object question. Failing that, it tries an attribute lookup, which works in this case. If attribute lookup had failed, it would have tried list index lookup. Percent for something percent. In this loop, question.choiceset.all is interpreted as the Python code question.choiceset.all with parentheses, meaning we call that as a function, returns an iterable of choice objects and is suitable for use in the percent for percent tag. I don't know what language this is. I really don't. See the template guide for more about templates. Not now. Thanks, but not now. I'm glad the explanation helped, random stranger. You're very welcome. Removing hard-coded URLs in templates. Remember when we wrote the link to a question in the polls/index.html template? Let's save that. The link was partially hard-coded like this. href equals polls/question ID, whatever. The problem is that it becomes challenging to change URLs on projects with a lot of templates. Since you define the name argument in the URL functions in the polls.urls module, you can remove a reliance on specific URL paths. And just refer to it by the name. Okay. List item ahref equals... So instead of /polls, if we wanted to rename that to poll, for example, because we only have one poll so far, we could tell it to grab how much? This much? And this tells it to get the URL for the detail name. Something like that. Question, not question text. And list item, okay. It looks up the URL definition as specified in the polls.urls module. You can see exactly where the URL name of detail is defined below. Polls.urls. This is the polls, my site. Let's go to polls. And this is for detail, views.detail, and the name is detail. And so it's looking for this. This is the appearance of a detail thing. Great. So instead of polls/question ID, it's this. Great. Okay. If you want to change the URL to something like polls/specifics/12, instead of doing it in the template, you would change it in polls/urls.py. So I could just change it over here in one place instead of having to also change it in the template. Cool. Namespacing URL names. The tutorial project has one app. In real project, there might be 5, 10, 20 apps or more. How do we differentiate the different URLs? Polls app has a detail view, and there might be a blog app in this project with also a detail view. How do we differentiate? Add namespaces to your URL conf. In polls/urls.py, no, this one. Go ahead and add an app name to set the application namespace. Okay, over here, yeah. App name equals polls, and change polls/index.html. Template from detail to have instead polls detail, because we have app name is polls, so it's gonna look up that app name, so we have polls detail. Great. And that's definitely part 3. And we are not going to do part 4 of that tutorial right now, because we're not. Because I've been going for an hour and 36 minutes, and I think that's enough. Let's see, can we take a look at what's going on? Maybe. What's new? What's new? Not much in the sky. Here's a template with our bulleted list. Let me take this out and I can show you other stuff. So we have if latest question list for each one. We're gonna have a link and the details what we want, and we have a heading 1 tag. That's why the text is large up here. This is heading 1 size. And then we have an unordered list, meaning a bulleted list. And we have, for each one, we'll have a list item with the choices text. And that ends our list. And that's exactly what we have. Let's look at the source for this. View page source. Heading 1. And our unordered list, and list item, and list item, and the unordered list. Fantastic. Now let's try to go to 2, which does not exist. Page not found. That's good. Remember before we could go to like 35, and it would just say, this is question 35. Because we didn't have it do anything else. Asking for a question just returned a string with that number. So now it's actually looking for that number as an ID of a question in the database, and maybe it won't find it. And if it doesn't find it, we get, I want to do a pointing thing, we get that. So there you have it. 404 when I wanted one. That's unusual, isn't it? I should get a 404 here. Excellent. Yay, an error. It's because it's an error that means things are being useful and working. It's not so much an error as it is telling you that you're looking for something that doesn't exist. And that's fine, because we're looking for something that doesn't exist, and it doesn't. So here we are. What else is it going to do, right? Parth Sharma asks in chat, easiest way to convert pi to exe and without cx-freeze. Oh, that's a more complex question. What I use is cx-freeze, because there are a few other ways to package a Python script as an executable, including pi2exe, and probably some more. Pi2 app, I think. But some of those are not as thoroughly maintained, may not support Python 3 projects at all. So I ended up going with CXFreeze. What I would like is something that creates just an executable, like one large file, instead of a folder with a whole ton of... I can show you what it does. Here we go. There we go. So this is a folder created by CXFreeze. And you see it, this is a tkinter application. So it has the TCL folder and a TK folder, and then a whole bunch of PyD. I don't know what that extension is for. I know PyC is a compiled Python file. Python34.dll, select.pyd, a whole bunch of stuff, the library of other stuff, Python libraries. And this little exe right here, that's what we would run if we wanted to run this program. So it's kind of a, if you want someone who doesn't really know or have Python on their computer to be able to run your script, you send them this and they'll be like, what? You have to say it's the executable right here. Don't change anything else in that folder. It's all totally visible, but don't touch it. So I would kind of like a solution to be able to just make it an exe, a one file that someone can just download exe, and it's all right there, and they just click that and it runs without having to see this. I mean, it'd be fine to have an exe with some other folders of just your program's assets, like pictures or audio files or whatever. But this is just base stuff to get it to run at all. I think it would be nice to have it hidden. Anyway, how big is this folder anyway? 20 meg. Anyway, so yeah, Pi2exe and I think Pi2app are a couple alternatives that I haven't used. So that's some Django stuff. We made a super user account, and we made some changes to the views, and we're returning actual responses, and we're querying the database in some of them, returning useful errors for when we try to look up something that doesn't exist, using templates that I don't understand. I don't know if this is a special template language. I have no idea. I really don't. And okay. So I'll have to remember for part 4 that I have to restart that server, I guess. manage.py, right? This, my site, etc. Oh, manage.py run server. I think I will have to remember to do that at the start next time, or else the server will not exist. Fantastic. Okay. Here we go. Just take that out. Alright, so what have we got? Today, super user, templates, database queries, and looking at models and views. Pretty neat stuff. The site actually works like I expected to. It's not incredibly rich. Doesn't really do much, but I'm starting to see how things are coming together. And it will definitely be cool to maybe be able to convert other things I've written into Django applications and then put them online, so you can just go in your web browser and just poke a few things on your phone or whatever, and then it'll run Python on the server in the background. That's pretty cool. If I could make the Star Trek Online loot parser into something like this, that'd be cool. Maybe there's a file upload widget, and then you could upload your files and have it process everything for you like that. That'd be neat. Random Stranger says, Random Stranger says that they're not a single person, and it's an account shared by the whole classroom, and they watch me in class. In short, keep it up. I will. I'm glad you enjoy them so much, and I'm glad they're useful. Is this a computer science class, I wonder, or a programming? I don't know. Software development and computer science are not the same field. A computer scientist will learn how to write sorting functions and develop and write queues, etc., while a software developer will want to write programs. A software developer will use various sorting things, but they won't want to write the sorting things per se. So I'm very glad to hear that that you're watching me in class. That's pretty cool. Anyway, that's Django for today. Next time is going to be forms, form processing, and cutting down our code. Good. Refactoring. Excellent. Templates, etc. URL conf for the polls application. Something to vote. Great. So it's just developing the app into doing stuff. Neat. Tomorrow, game, not sure which, maybe Euro Truck Simulator 2. That's pretty good. And day after that is very most probably more Django. So computer science class. Cool. That's not easy stuff, but it's quite interesting. So I hope I think that's it for today. Again, I'm very glad to hear that your class is enjoying it. If you have more questions on another stream, I'd be happy to answer. And that's pretty much it. Tomorrow games, day after Django. Remember to like, comment, subscribe on various videos. This is these all go into the archive that you can find on my channel, so you can view and review them later. Thanks again, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.